Another edition of Riding Home, Dean Legge and Matt DeBerry. So to recap, if you didn't get an alert on your phone earlier this summer, Arch Manning picked Texas, which we suspected, right, Matt? Like there were people. Well, go ahead.
It was crazy because a lot of people thought or told us that, especially people on the message boards, that he was a lock.
Yeah,
He was
but
a
you
Georgia
can't.
lock, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's ever a lock, especially
Yeah.
with name, image, and likeness. So back in the spring, a lot of people thought he was a lock to Georgia. I always knew Texas was going to be there in the end. A lot of people
Right.
thought Alabama could be in the mix. At the end of the day, it came down to Georgia and Texas. Not surprising that he picked the Longhorns. They're supposed to be an up and coming program for 5 years in a row now. They have a lot going on for them, I guess. Steve Sarkisian knows what he's doing, coaching offense, and quarterbacks do thrive under him. So it's not super surprising, but Kirby went all out for him and came in second. So
And okay, so with that said, you and I have talked a lot off when nobody's recording us about where they go next, and I guess I'll throw you the softball. What do you suspect at quarterback that they'll do this class, and your suspicion for next year?
I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in this class, and I think the staff kind of had that in the back of their head. We're going to go all out for Arch Manning. If we don't take him, it's not the end of the world. But 24 is loaded across the country when you talk about quarterbacks. And Julian Sayin is a Southern California kid who's really, really good. They offered him after his freshman season when he was camping at Georgia last summer, 2021. Finished off a great sophomore season last year. Works with one of the best quarterback trainers in the country who coached up Bryce Young. I spoke with him earlier last week about what Julian Sayin brings to the table. So there will be a big story on that over on Dog Post. But I think
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy in 2024. He tells me that he talks to Coach Monken consistently, loves the offense that they're running. So he is the guy. He's a 5-star guy in the 24 class. I think a top 10 player in the country. Of course, those rankings are going to update multiple times over time the next year and a half. But
Yeah.
the kid can sling it, and he's really good, and the staff thinks a lot of him. So I think he's the guy who could jump on the commit list. I want to say sooner than later, maybe later this summer. Quarterbacks most of the time want to get on board, start recruiting early. So I think he is their top target in 24, and I think Georgia sits in an excellent position for him right now.
So you're telling me that rankings change because I don't, you're going to let me do this, aren't you? So I'm old enough to remember Trevor Lawrence being better than Justin Fields before Trevor Lawrence was back being better than Justin Fields. So
Yeah.
whatever. This is what we
Yeah.
do for clicks. Hey, look, this class, and the day we're recording this, is sitting at 12. No, I'm sorry, 13. I've not updated my board. But over the weekend, with a commitment with Wilson, and just before that with a 5-star tight end, which Todd Hartley just like seems to grab them wherever they are.
Doesn't miss. Yeah.
Doesn't seem to. I think there's only two, according to my board. My board could be off. 2 for 24, 13 for 23. They are gonna lose not fewer than 10 guys off this class, but the rules have changed. What's the update? And maybe you know this, maybe you don't. What's the update on how many guys you can sign? Can you recall that off the top of your head? There's
I don't know if
something.
there's I'm sure there is a specific rule out there, but there's always a loophole or something. Kirby's
Yeah,
going to sign as many kids as he can who he thinks is going to help the team because he knows a lot of these guys are going to transfer. We see it with every class.
yeah.
Usually, some of the lower ranked kids in each class find their way at another school sooner than later. So you know there's going to be some changes, some turnover. That's what I was looking for. So you want to take as many guys as possible, which only adds depth and a competitive spirit on the team. And if you win one of those jobs, you beat out a lot of good players. So at the end of the day, I think they're going to bring in a really strong 23 class, not really heavy in the state of Georgia. I think the 2024 class, which is loaded in Georgia, they could really just stack up and clean up in the in state there. But they're going out of state a lot. They're going to recruiting the state of Florida really, really well with linebackers and wide receivers. Of course, their latest commitment, Raylan Wilson, one of the top inside linebackers in the country. And I think they're in a good spot for Troy Bowles, the son of Tampa Bay head coach Todd Bowles, another instinctive, hard-hitting inside linebacker. He could be on the commit list sooner than later. So between Glenn Schumann and Todd Hartley, those dudes, they don't miss. They go out, they get their guys every single year. And I think there's going to be a very strong defensive heavy class in 2023.
If you're Billy Napier, I mean, this is we covered. Look, you know what? First, hey, listen, make sure you're picking up Dawgstruction. If you do not pick it up today, I'm probably gonna run out of books, and I don't know how long I will have this offer up for. Just being straight up. So get this while you can. I'm gonna have to order books very soon, which delays the process, and I get a bunch of emails about how I'm not getting books. It's because you're not ordering it quick enough. If you want it, get it today because I have them today. By Friday, I might not. When you get Dawgstruction, you get the 2022 preview for free. If you just want the 2022 preview, you can get it. The links for both of these are down below. If you're in Athens, you can pick it up at Red Zone on Clayton. Clayton is the second street, is the street above the arch. If you're Billy Napier, are you like, and this is not, I'm not trying to run Billy Napier down, okay? If you're Billy Napier, are you like concerned right now with recruiting, or are you just saying, oh well, Kirby's going to do what he's going to do?
Well, right now, the big thorn in his side not only is Kirby, but Mario Cristobal down in
Yeah,
Miami, because they're
yeah,
using NIL as hard as they can with kids. I mean, we're talking about they're doing what Texas A&M is doing in Tennessee and a lot of other programs too. But they're, make no mistake, they're saying, hey, we're going to use this to our benefit, try to get this program back to where it was. But Billy Napier, they've landed a couple commitments over the weekend, which they really needed because it hasn't been all
yeah.
that great over the last several months. But they'll get their kids a really small class. Last year they ended up getting a couple 5 stars, I think, at the end. Kamari Wilson being one of them, a guy who Georgia was recruiting until the end. But he's gonna get some kids. I don't think it's gonna be Urban Meyer level where they were pushing, getting a top 5 class every single year with guys like Tim Tebow, Brandon Spikes, Percy Harvin. I don't think he's gonna bring in that type of class, but enough to where they should be, competing with Tennessee and Kentucky every year for the second best team in the East. That's where they should be. But they have to build depth. And right now they don't have it, and they need to start building depth with this 23 class. Can they do it? I'm not so sure, but that's what they need to do. And they have to do better with getting the in-state kids who grew up watching those really good Florida teams that are now maybe looking elsewhere. So have to do a little bit better job in state, and I think that's one of their focuses in this class.
Okay, so you're of the view that Georgia will probably skip the 23 class for quarterback as it stands now. This can change, of course,
Yeah, right.
and they will attack a prospect in California. I'm just looking at things. They've got 3 kids committed to them at offensive line. They just signed 6 on the offensive line. They have 19 right now that are scholarship players on the offensive line. 15 defensive players on the defensive line that are scholarship guys. We'll see what happens with Cloud. They only have 2 defensive linemen committed as it stands. It seems to me like Stacy's got started getting going on the offensive line. We're going to see where are they at with running back right now.
I mean, Justice Haynes is the guy in 23, and I think that's Dell's big focus right now. There are a lot of 2024 running backs that they have their eye on. But right now, his goal is to get Justice Haynes on board. Richard Young has Georgia in his top 3
But we
with
don't
Alabama and Oregon, but
we don't buy that.
we'll, not necessarily right now. They could
Right.
come in second or third for him. But Justice told me personally this spring, he said, hey, if I want to jump on board, I'm going to be the only guy they take. Now, normally, I would say the way Georgia uses their running backs and the way they could get injured, I think it's the safest route to take 2 running backs each class. I've always said that, but apparently they want Justice bad enough to where they're saying, okay, we took a couple last class. If you're the only guy who jumps on board, you'll be the only guy we take, and then we'll try to get 2 in 24. So we'll see how it works out. These kids are told a lot, one time, and then things change 6 months later. That's just recruiting for you. And at the end of the day, the staff has to bring in as many talented players as possible. And yeah, you would like to bring in 2 backs every class if you're a team like Georgia who runs the ball and uses a lot of different backs throughout the season. But Justice Haynes, the new Buford Wolves running back this year, is their top guy in that 23 class. And I think they sit in a really good spot for him. He could be on the commit list before the season starts as well.
Well, they definitely. I mean, they got 5 scholarship running backs right now. And I know. Listen, here's my excuse me, Matt. Here's my caveat on all of the recruiting discussion, and I turn over here and look to the numbers, is that they very well may know now where they're going with. They may know that, let's say there's 13 public commits. They may know right now 20-ish guys, but Matt, they may also know in theory of guys who are interested in coming to Georgia that have not left the particular school that they're at. And we just saw with Alabama's done a very good job in the transfer portal. Georgia hasn't gotten any this year. They have in the past. But JT Daniels is one. Kendrick is another. I mean, they've certainly gotten high level guys. But I think running back is a spot where you look at and you say they probably need to get a guy or two sooner than later because Kendall Milton could leave, and this is Kenny McIntosh's last year. You don't want to wind up with three running backs if you can help it, or four, because they play spots other than that. Receiver, is this going to be Don Blaylock's last year at Georgia? Is he going to leave and go pro?
If he has a big year, if he
Could,
doesn't,
right?
yeah.
I mean, because
Um,
you're sitting at 11 receivers right now, four of whom are young guys. Well, really five. They're really good
I
at
mean,
receiver. Go ahead.
eventually, Dean, I mean, you're not going to be able to have that extra COVID year, right? I think that it's still in place, but
That is
eventually that
true.
rule is going to go away. So guys like Kyrus Jackson, who loves Georgia, it feels like he, I guess, could come back for the
Correct.
23 season. But if there's no
Correct.
COVID year, I don't know how that works with a lot of
W-
kids. I think their eligibility could run out
The only
more
the
than
only
it has the last two guys.
so the only person right now that is playing on COVID is Stetson that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's not true. Robert Beal, right?
he
Is
would
that
have to. It's a
is
sixth
that
year,
correct?
so
Yeah. So Robert
I
Beal and
think
Stetson. So those two, but like Dan
William
Jackson's
Poole. William Poole's been around since
William,
Nam.
well,
It feels
you're
like,
right.
yeah,
Since Vietnam, since you were in Quezon,
yeah, that's right. That's
no,
right.
you and Charlie, William Poole, Robert Beal, and Stetson are. And Stetson might not be COVID, but definitely Robert Beal and Poole. But like again, Brock Vandergriff cannot, but Carson Beck still can. So there's like 50 players at Georgia that still can use COVID year, if I'm not mistaken. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that,
Yeah,
but I don't. Much like my fights with my in-laws, I don't think I'm wrong, Matt. I don't think I'm wrong. And usually that proves to be true. Okay, hey,
classic.
listen, make sure you're picking up Dogstruction. If you want the preview, make sure you're picking it up. The links are down below. Thanks for watching.